Hello and welcome! In this new video, we will discuss SpaceX's progress in developing Starship, the largest, most ambitious, and most powerful rocket ever built by humanity. During the fourth test flight on June 6th, SpaceX achieved significant advancements for the future of the Starship project. Two major milestones were accomplished: the controlled return of Booster 11 and the atmospheric descent and splashdown of Ship 29. For the Super Heavy, almost everything went as planned, except for the ignition of one Raptor engine at liftoff and another engine during re-entry. Nevertheless, it successfully splashed down at a precise point in the Gulf of Mexico. This led Elon Musk to declare that they would attempt a mid-air capture of the Super Heavy on the next launch. But is it really possible during the fifth launch? Ship 29, on the other hand, missed its target by about 6 km due to damage to one of its upper fins. The ship lost some of its ability to control its re-entry, but managed to maintain its orientation. At Starbase, SpaceX is now preparing not only for the next flight but also for the start of the construction of the second Mechazilla, which will help increase the launch cadence. During an interview with Elon Musk by the YouTuber team DoD known as Everyday Astronaut, we learned various details about the current development of the project and the upcoming work. Musk stated that in the next flights, SpaceX will focus on analyzing the thermal shield's performance and recovering both stages. Therefore, no immediate missions for deploying Starlink V3 satellites, which can only travel aboard Starship, are planned. The interview took place on June 5th, a day before the flight of Booster 11 and Ship 29. Musk had already expressed concerns about the plasma resistance of the upper fin hinges due to their design, as the plasma generated during re-entry can get inside the gaps between the fins and the main body, overheating the internal components. During the live broadcast of the flight, we saw how the right fin of Ship 29 was significantly damaged. Musk's initial hypothesis about the loss of tiles concerns their spacing. Starship, made of stainless steel, undergoes significant thermal expansions. The tiles must be placed at the correct distance to avoid colliding when the tanks are filled with cryogenic propellant or separating too much when the structure heats up during re-entry. In a post-flight interview, again with Team DoD, Musk explained that the spacing of the tiles on the upper fins during re-entry led to different thermal shield performance in those areas compared to the main body. Despite the damage, telemetry showed that Ship 29 opened its right fin more to compensate for the damage and maintain control, a result beyond expectations. At the base of Ship 29, engineers intentionally avoided installing two tiles to test a new ablative material that will be placed under the thermal shield in future prototypes. Currently, Starship could not survive re-entry if it lost even one tile in the tank area. For this reason, SpaceX decided to add a secondary thermal shield made of ablative material. This secondary shield dissipates heat through the erosion of the material, making it non-reusable. However, it increases Starship's safety, as the primary ceramic shield must ensure the ship's reusability on its own. With Ship 29, they were able to test this secondary protection by applying 2 layers in one area and only one in another. Initial data suggests that in the area with one layer, erosion exposed the underlying steel, which did not happen where they placed 2 layers. The new thermal shield, composed of 2 layers of ablative material and new tiles, will be fully installed on Ship 30 for the 5th Starship flight. There is currently no set date for this launch, as after the June 6th flight, workers began removing all the tiles from Ship 30 to install the new ones. This work takes time because there are about 18,000 tiles usually installed as the sections of the ship prototypes are built. This process avoids working on a completed ship, making it easier to reach all the different areas to be covered, a procedure not possible with Ship 30, which was already built. We currently know little about these new tiles for Ship 30 and how they differ from the previous ones. To perform a new flight in less time than expected between the 3rd and 4th tests, SpaceX should launch by August 30th, exactly 85 days after the 4th test. Currently, late August seems plausible for the 5th launch. As Musk explained, solving the hinge issue involves redesigning Starship's upper section. For the upcoming launches using the first version of the ship, SpaceX can only try to contain any damage. The second version of Starship is already in development and will be built soon. Compared to the current version, the upper fins will be moved further back, away from the thermal shield, so they will no longer align with the lower fins. Starship re-enters the atmosphere at an angle between 65 and 70 degrees, with the lower fins providing most of the stabilization and control. In this phase, the upper fins tend to bring the ship back to vertical, complicating control. Moving the upper fins has a dual advantage. It improves control and places the hinges in a more protected position. After the initial re-entry phase, once subsonic speeds are reached, the ship reorients horizontally, with the fall controlled again by all four aerodynamic surfaces. Other changes in the second version of the ship include larger, easier-to-manufacture header tanks. SpaceX engineers are also considering changes for the Super Heavy, debating the number of grid fins. Musk explained that control could be achieved with just 2 fins, but they will likely install 3, a change to be made later in the project. At the launch site, SpaceX workers have begun constructing the second Mechazilla, the tower with arms for moving and mid-air catching the 2 stages. Compared to the original design, SpaceX has made some changes. First, this new tower will be taller to better manage the final 150-meter version of Starship, as the current Mechazilla reaches 140 meters and will be shorter than the new rocket. Another significant change is the reduction in arm length, as Musk explained that the difficulty in moving the long, heavy arms quickly and precisely led them to shorten them. In the initial design phases, 2 possible mid-air capture maneuvers were considered. The chosen method involves the Super Heavy arriving between Mechazilla's arms and waiting for them to close while suspended in mid-air by its engines, requiring a large amount of propellant. The second option discarded involved Mechazilla slowing the Super Heavy's final descent, using less propellant. Musk believes SpaceX may find a middle ground between these solutions in the future. The new launch pad will have a more traditional flame trench instead of the steel water suppression system. Excavation for this trench has already begun. In preparation for the 5th launch and mid-air capture attempt, SpaceX placed a small test tank on the pad to test Mechazilla's arm movement. On some occasions, one arm was seen hitting the tank hard enough to make it sway. Musk confirmed that SpaceX still uses Tesla motors to move both the Starship's fins and the Super Heavy's grid fins. For Musk, quickly reusing Starship means the Super Heavy could support 2 missions within hours. However, the second stage must return to Earth after orbit, taking hours to days depending on the mission. Therefore, Musk says each Super Heavy will need at least 5 Starships. SpaceX initially planned to install a transpiration system instead of the thermal shield. Although the weight is similar, a system that expels gas to absorb heat has never been tested with high-speed re-entries, so they opted for a more familiar system. While Starship will undergo several modifications before reaching its final version, the new factory at Starbase, where all future Starships and Super Heavies will be built, will soon be operational. Next-generation Raptor engines will not need a thermal shield, as they will have an integrated cooling circuit. This circuit will be similar to the engine model shown in the April presentation, although some parts seemed missing. The secondary cooling circuit will eliminate several joints and bolts, complicating maintenance. Current Raptors have cooling systems, but they are still insufficient to remove thermal shields. About every 6 months, SpaceX organizes a tender offer, an operation inviting shareholders and interested investors to buy shares from minority shareholders, usually employees. In the June offer, shares sold for around $110 each, valuing the company at $210 billion, confirming SpaceX as the world's most valuable private company. Thank you for watching. Remember to subscribe to the channel, activate the bell to not miss any of our videos, and leave a like to support us.